You got me.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. We're good.
All right, good to meet you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. I'm good too.
You feeling all right today?
Oh yeah, yeah. How about you?
Cool. Tops, man.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked you to do this is because one of my relatives is he's 8 months clean, but he overdosed three times like before that, like big. And his dad is actually concerned that he's gonna end up going back. So I just wanted to get a little bit of your insight. For me, I'm an alcoholic, so I don't understand a whole lot about addiction, and I thought you'd be the perfect person.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. No problem. You want me to just start with my story right now?
Yeah, sure. That'll work, and just feel free to say what you say.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. So yeah, pretty much. Hello everybody. My name's Daniel. I'm 26 years old, and I'm a recovering heroin addict. So pretty much, my story begins just like most other drug addicts. My childhood and growing up and stuff like that was pretty normal up until about age maybe about 16, and that's when my parents they got divorced. But prior to that, you know, life was normal. Went camping and did all the normal stuff with the parents and things like that. One thing I will say though is that my dad was an alcoholic, but I didn't have any like exposure to any type of drugs or anything like that growing up. From my parents or anything like that. When I hit about age 16, I was in high school, and pretty much like just the group of friends that I was hanging out around. They all skateboarded, and they all smoked weed. And so pretty much the first time that I ever smoked weed was about age 16. And basically from that day on was that was it. Like as soon as I felt like that mind altering experience and just not being 100% present anymore, I loved it. And I just wanted to find anything, it didn't matter what it was, weed, anything to replicate that. And so that's what I did. I started experimenting with all kinds of drugs, and first started out with like ecstasy and things like that. Those type of drugs didn't really last with me, but then I started to try painkillers and things like that, the prescription pills. And I had a friend also growing up when I was in high school. His name was Greg, and his father had cancer at the time, lung cancer. And so pretty much he had just a bunch of pills laying around the house all the time, for from his cancer treatment and things like that. And he had a bunch of hydrocodone pills, oxycodone pills. I remember he even had injectable morphine at one point. And pretty much me and this friend Greg, we would pretty much steal these pills, and we would take them. And then when he died, when his father actually finally died from the cancer and all that, he had a lot of pills at the house at that point. And obviously we pretty much kept them. And that set off my opiate addiction from that point on. um, Basically what happens next is I get introduced into the oxycontin pills, which are the 80 milligram oxycodone pills. Like they were like the strongest pills around at the time. And because I don't even think they really make them anymore, or they do make them, but they're made differently. They can't be abused like they could be, back in the day. um, and basically you could smoke these pills on foil, and that's what I did. This friend showed me how to do it, and I liked the high. It was just like popping the regular Percocet pain pills and things like that. High was exactly the same, and so, or just it's exactly the same but a lot stronger, and so that's why I liked it. But it was also getting to be really expensive. These pills were costing me $35 a pop. And, shortly after that is when I was introduced to heroin, actual, black tar heroin. And I was like 17 at the time and still in high school. And so I was smoking heroin at 17. I was like a junior in high school. And it didn't last very long, my first little run with heroin. because I got caught by my parents. Obviously, I'm like 17 years old living with my parents, you know, going to high school addicted to heroin. There's no way I'm not getting caught here. You know what I mean? So eventually I get caught. And my parents, they forced me into like a detox center. And I go to a detox, right? And I stay in there for about a week. And you know, I get through the detox, I'm fine. I get through the heroin withdrawal. You know, I'm like 17 at the time, so I feel like the withdrawals are a lot easier when you're younger, or like the first few times, than, and it gets a lot harder later on, though. You know what I mean? That's something I can definitely note and say. But after that little rehab stint or detox stay or whatever, I actually moved out to Texas with my father. Okay, and this was literally the day I was discharged from that detox center, and I got to San Antonio, Texas. And when I got to San Antonio, I was doing great. Honestly, I was doing great at first. I got back into high school because, not I forgot to say something when I was doing the heroin here in Las Vegas, because that's where I was living before I moved. Okay, I actually, my parents actually had me drop out of school because I had missed so many classes, I had missed so many credits. Basically, if I stayed there, I wasn't graduating anyway, so there's literally no point in staying. So they actually dropped me out of school, and so that was part of the reason why I moved. So when I moved to Texas, I was able to actually enroll back into a real high school. Doing this was like super hard. I don't even know how like my dad was able to do it, but he somehow talked them into it. It was a small town in Texas. We're talking the high school of literally 100, literally 100 kids. Okay, and I'm going from a high school of 3,000 kids to like 100 kids. That's it. So it's a huge, you know, culture shock, a huge change in environment for me. But I all I did to get clean that time was go to the detox center, okay? And then move. And that was it. I didn't follow up on any type of recovery stuff. I'm just 17 years old, and I think I just quit heroin and that's it and it's over, right? But that's far from the case. And what ends up happening is I'm doing really good in Texas. Okay, I end up graduating high school with all A's and B's. Like, I actually even made up every single credit that I had missed in Las Vegas because of my previous addiction. Okay, so I graduate high school. I'm doing great. I'm actually halfway signed up for the military already. I go into the military, and then you know, I'm in the army now. Okay, I'm a soldier in the army. I'm a combat medic. Okay, and you know, while I'm a combat medic, I deployed to Afghanistan, and you know, I see combat. And while I'm out there, I even messed around a little bit with opiates. Okay, and mainly it was because of the stress. I wanted to sleep one night, you know, at nighttime, just literally one good sleep at night, and that was pretty much the reason why I did it. But I remember that kind of setting off a whole nother thing for me later on. Because when I got back is when I started to use a drug called poppy seed tea. And basically, it's just, I'm not even going to get into this one, but it's just a tea that you make out of poppy seeds and you get high from it. All right. It's got opiates in it. And pretty much, I abused it for a while. Okay. And I was in the military. I was dodging freaking urinalysis tests or whatever, drug tests, every couple of months. It seemed like, you know, I would get my name called up randomly, and I would have to go to this UA knowing knowing I'm actually dirty at the time. And I would just drink a bunch of water and just piss like really clear, and I would pass every single time. I don't know how. I got lucky, dude. And basically I end up getting out of the military with an opioid habit still, basically because I'm on this poppy seed tea. All right, and I make a really big mistake by just ending up moving back to you know, Las Vegas. Okay, that's where I end up moving back to, but it's because I got married in the military and had some issues with the wife. Okay, and I needed to pretty much move back with some family at the time, and so family was in Las Vegas, and that's where I ended up. And you know, when I get to Las Vegas, it always happens the same. I always end up moving somewhere. I'm doing good at first, and then just shortly afterwards is when everything crumbles, you know, or at least it did in my addiction. Um, but So I get to Las Vegas and I'm doing okay. I get a job and all that stuff like that, or I have a job and all that. And I start meeting more people that I've knew or that I've known from back in the day. All right, I start running into more people that I've known. Start hearing from more people on Facebook and just all the different ways that you could possibly see these type of people again. Okay, and it just one thing led to another. I started dating this girl who was also she wasn't doing heroin, but she did pills and stuff like that. So she was also kind of connected to the same group of friends that I'm talking about. And one thing basically just led up to another. We end up breaking up, and I kind of get a little depressed a little bit for about a month. And honestly, that's kind of about the time when I started to use heroin again. And but also during this whole time I'm doing poppy CT, even with this girl. And but so we break up, I start using heroin again. And now this is where my addiction starts to get really serious. I feel like I've been an addict for most of my life, but this is where it actually got serious for me, and where I feel like it really almost took me out this time. Like, really. Because what ended up happening was I let it get out of control. I let it get big this time. I'm not a minor, so my parents can't just force me into detox whenever. And so I let it get big, man. I let my habit get up to about $160 a day, just spent just on heroin. So that's about 2 grams of heroin a day, smoking it on foil. Also, simultaneously, I was using cocaine on top of that. I was using about a gram of cocaine a day, spending about another $100 a day on that. So, my drug habit's like $260 a day, $300 a day, easy. And basically, the way that I kept this up for a while was I actually had a decent job, okay? And at the time, the guy that I worked for, he was really cool. He owned this business, so I knew the owner. I was working directly for the owner, and he was cool with me, okay? And he knew I was addicted to heroin because I told him. I actually told him. I wanted to take that approach to where, like, I hope, maybe I was basically thinking like, hey, if I just be honest with this guy, maybe he won't fuck me, right? And so I'm and incredibly, I did that and it worked. Okay, he didn't. And so he kept me on the freaking payroll and kept me working. All right. I was getting paid $20 an hour. All right. And now, as an addict, $20 an hour is good, good money, bro. Like, that's enough money to buy your drugs. I mean, they're just saying. And so he kept me on the payroll for a while. All right. He was, and I always told this guy, I was always like, I'm getting clean, man. Don't worry. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Because he was on my ass all the time. Are you clean? Are you? He wanted me to get clean. He wanted to help me. This guy was genuinely trying to help me. He was trying to give me as many chances as this guy humanly could. And I just screwed him every single time. Seriously. This guy was trying to save me from homelessness. Like, straight up. Like, this guy did not want to fire me. You know what I'm saying? He knew I was a veteran. He knew I was struggling, so he did not want to fire me. And he kept me on the payroll for a while. And so, I worked for this guy. I never screwed him over, nothing like that. I stayed loyal to my job. It's just that the drugs took over. Okay. And basically what ended up happening is I told him, hey, look, man, I'm going to try to go to detox. All right. And I'm seriously going to try to quit this, but I need some days off to do this. Obviously, I can't just keep coming to work though. So I need you to give me at least a couple of days off. And and I'll come back after I get out of the detox, and hopefully everything will be back to normal or some shit. And so that was the plan, and that's what we did. He ends up giving me like a week off of work or whatever. He actually told me, take as long as I need. All right. He was like, take as long as you freaking need. Just come back here clean. I don't care how long you're gone. Just make sure you are back here, not on drugs. And that's all I care about. Your job will be here. I promise. That's what he told me. Okay. And so I'm like, all right, man, no problem. I'm thinking, and it's in your head, when you're in addiction and you're like, you're getting yourself psyched up to get clean and all that stuff like that. I truly believe that, even the most dirty addict or whatever you want to call somebody, honestly has the most true intention, I believe, at that moment. When you're thinking about getting clean and all that stuff like that, and you're really, getting ready to do it, you do have a true intention. I feel like most people, you know what I mean? It's just that once you get into doing it, that's when the problems start to come back up and people want to quit. You know what I mean? And so that's what happened to me. I get to this detox place. I make it like 4 days in there. Okay. And after like 4 days, the withdrawal gets so intense. And I'm just like, I can't do it anymore, you know? And I leave. And so to make a long story short, as far as this whole job thing, basically, I did this with this guy about 5 times, and he just got tired of it, and he was just like, you know what, dude, I can't do this anymore, man. We got to split our ways. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing personal. I like you as a person. It's just that I can't have a drug addict working here all the time. And you know, it's nothing personal. And honestly, at the time, I shook his hand. We walked away. It was no big deal to me at the time. It should have been a big freaking deal to me at the time because, dude, losing a job like that, to you know, thinking about it sober and stuff like that, losing a job like that is that's not good, dude. Just knowing that I had somebody like that backing me up, you know, I couldn't even imagine how it would have been sober. You know what I mean? If I was doing stuff sober and let's, you know, if I was doing good sober and maybe I needed some actual help, you know, and I had that guy behind me, you know, life would be probably pretty good right now. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I really regret losing that job. Anyways, you know, stuff got worse after that. Once I didn't have a job, I still needed to get money, and I still needed 300 a day. So I started selling all my stuff. You know, I had some decent money coming in before, and so I had you know, ways to accumulate things of value. And so you know, I started selling these things because I needed to freaking liquidate everything to get the cash back out of it. And so that's what I did, you know. I started selling everything. I sold everything I had in my room. My room was completely bare, empty. Like I literally had nothing in there at the time. I basically all I had at the time was like a mattress. I had sold every single thing I owned. I'd even sold this laptop that we're talking on right now. Like literally, I sold this thing at one point, you know. Um, but yeah, and I even sold my car. I even got a title loan on my car. 2014 Toyota Corolla. I paid cash out of the army, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where this drug brought me to. So I was selling everything, man. I sold everything. And it got to the point to where like I literally just didn't have anything left. You know, I had nothing left over. I got rid of everything. I got rid of every person in my life too. I didn't just sell the stuff in my life. I feel like I sold off everybody else in my life too, as well as, you know, to get the drugs, because I used people to get drugs too. You know what I mean? I screwed over people. I lied to people, stolen, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. So I lost. It made me lose so much, you know, for real. It really did. And you know, before all this addiction and all that stuff like that, I've always wanted to. I actually always wanted to run a business. Not a. I actually never thought about doing YouTube and stuff like that before, but you know, I actually did always want to run a business. You know, maybe some type of. It was honestly some type of like you know, maybe selling something. I don't know, like, you know, some type of business where I sold the product, right? But basically, what I'm trying to say is I hit rock bottom one day, man, and I was just starting to think about my life and the direction that I was going. Even though I'd been already, you know, abusing drugs for freaking years, I just now started to think about, like, you know, started to really think about, like, yo, where, you know, where's the direction of my life headed to, honestly, right now. And so that day, you know, I hit rock bottom. I was in my dad's house. I was like having an anxiety attack. I was losing it. I started crying to myself, you know, just feeling sorry for myself, feeling bad. And I knew I needed to take some action, you know, at that point. And so that's what I did. And I ended up going to the VA, you know, talking to the VA, and they actually have a program. It's called Suboxone. You know, some medication, you get on it. It's for opioid addicts. It's mainly for that. But you know, I went to the VA. My mother helped me out big time. You know, if I didn't have a support system like my mother, I don't think that I would actually be here today. Okay. Um, honestly, I don't. I don't think I could have done what I did on my own. Or yeah, I don't think I could have done what I did on my own at all. It was hard, you know, going through the withdrawals and stuff like that. It's hard. You definitely need somebody, you know, with you to get through something like that. If you have somebody, you know, if you have a support system, definitely use them and do not screw them over. You know, that's a big tip I would give to somebody. But yeah, if I didn't have my mom, I would not be where I'm at today. Um, and I don't know, man. I think that's about it, for my story. Yeah, and I just got clean. I started this YouTube channel, like I said. Life's a lot better now, man. I'm enjoying life again, honestly. It's amazing not to have to be somewhere or have to wake up really early in the morning. First thing I do is check my phone and then drive somewhere to go meet a drug dealer. You know what I mean? First thing you do in the daytime, and to not have to do that anymore is freaking amazing. Just have your life back. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Yeah, but that's my story. Yeah, that's my story.
That's awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
So first, thank you for your service. I appreciate that. 5 years, right?
Yep.
Cool. 5 years in Afghanistan, and then you were
Oh
able
no,
to.
just 5 years in the army.
Oh, watch out! I was in too long.
Just 5 years in the army. Period. I was 9 months in Afghanistan. Yeah.
So the VA offers that kind of program for folks who need it, right?
Yes, they do. And they will offer it to any veteran who needs it. Yeah, and if you've deployed to a combat zone, they give you free, 100% free healthcare for the next 5 years. After your ETS day. I'm a disabled veteran, so I have the VA for life. But if I didn't have that, I would be covered for the next 5 years.
Right on. Definitely. I definitely got that. I'm also, a veteran and disabled also. So I get to enjoy those perks. But for those out there who don't have that opportunity, I think people like you speaking about your experience is probably something that they're going to benefit from more so than just hearing about it like on a news channel or whatever feed. And I think if it comes from you and I in that kind of way, then perhaps it'll prompt somebody to seek the help they need more so than if they just said, "Oh, I think I have a problem," but they don't know how to solve it. So what
Right.
you put out, my friend, is full of energy and exciting to watch. And I know a lot of folks probably can't relate to it only because there's a whole different way of addiction and um, recovery processes for an addict versus an alcoholic. A lot is the same, but there's so much more that is different the way the mind thinks and everything else. So your fresh perspective is definitely well appreciated, and just keep doing what you're doing. I thank you for being over here and spending some time with me.
All right, awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I like your channel as well. I've actually been, I don't know if you know this, but I watch your channel.
Hey, I
And
got
so
like 20 people. You're one of them. That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah, man. So yeah, no, I watch your videos when they come out, Just I like to watch other veterans. So yeah, man, I like your channel too. So I appreciate you letting me come on here too. I appreciate you letting me come on here and share my story and all that. So, thank you.
Anytime. You're welcome anytime. Believe it or not, you're my first actual Zoom session that was successful. The other ones I jacked them up so bad I was afraid to come back on here.
Oh, really?
Believe it
Well,
or not, I might be old, but I grew up and evolved with the technology, but still some of it is kind of the simple stuff is a little bit more difficult. So I
yeah,
don't know. It's what it is.
definitely. All right, man. Well, I'm glad this one worked out. And yeah, no, this was a good one.
Well, I'm glad you're sober, my friend. And if you are not attending any kind of like Narcotics Anonymous or anything like that, I can only encourage you to do so because I know a lot of folks who do it. Now, the stateside, I understand there's a lot of different sporadic lefts and right of the people who come in there.
Mhm.
In the military community, it's a little bit different. But if you're not in a recovery program or something for longevity, it is just my suggestion. You might want to look into it because, you know, eventually you're going to, let me rephrase that. I would come off of, whatever I'm doing as not a crutch, but to
Oh yeah,
carry
yeah,
me
right.
over. And I hope that's not a lifelong thing for you because you got a bright
No.
future ahead of you, man.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, it's I'm planning on doing it for probably like a year. You know what I mean? That's what the plan was, like when I was at the doctor. That's what the doctor and me discussed. It's probably gonna be like a year and then come off of it after that. But oh yeah, no, I'm not planning on taking it forever. But Yeah, no, I know what you mean, for sure, for sure. And, you know, actually, I went to an NA meeting, online. I couldn't get into it, but you know what?
Mm,
I think I need to just go to a freaking in-person one because, I think that's what my issue was with it because I couldn't get in. Like, honestly, it just seemed boring, but I think it was because it was actually on one of these Zoom meetings. That's how it was. And,
right.
it was with like 50 different people. And so when you talk on Zoom, I think like the screen comes to the person who's talking or whatever. And it's just kind of weird, you know? You just
Yeah,
got so many
definitely.
people talking at once too sometimes, but yeah, it's weird on the online, but I think if I went to an in-person one, it'd be better.
Yeah, definitely. I hope I don't know if he's my cousin or not. I think he was my aunt just married somebody and they had a kid or something, and different from whatever. But anyway, so if that kid is my relative, the young guy who is actually dealing with just getting sober now, I hope that he sees this and he's able to pull something from it. And I'm gonna put your channel link in the description so people can go to it and hopefully push us out as far as I can get it.
All right, man, sounds good, and yeah, I wish him all the best too.
Awesome, man. I thank you for your time. You have any last things you want to say? Anything on your mind?
No, man, that's it. I spoke it all.
Cool. Appreciate your time. It was great to meet you, and hopefully we'll do something again soon.
All right, brother, sounds good. Thank you.
Take care, man.
All right, see ya.